get it that you think that this reality is real. And we're not quibbling. We just want you to know that the real reality is the vibrational reality that always precedes the manifestation. And if you can just hear us when we say to you that your emotions are not about your observation of the reality that has already taken shape and form. Your emotions are about the reality that is in the vibrational sphere that you are moving toward. In other words, what you feel is about this vibrational reality and your relationship to it. That was big. Did you get that? We have not said that clearly before. So here, we'll say it again. Your emotions, every one of them, are about this vibrational reality. How you feel is about this vibrational reality and your right now, in the moment, thought process relative to it. So now we'll say it in another strong way. If your life in this body had not caused you to move to a new place vibrationally, and if the larger part of you had not already taken it as the new and improved you and become it, present tense, you would never feel negative emotion. So negative emotion means every single time you've expanded to something that you're disallowing with your current active thought. So think about what that means. If you are paying your bills and feeling discouraged, that discouragement is based upon what you are calling reality. We say, no, that isn't it. That discouragement is not because of your current reality. It's because of your depriving yourself of your vibrational reality. You see, we know as physical beings, you've been using words like faith and hope for a while, a long while. And we want you to understand that what the true accomplishment that a feeling of faith or hope will give you is it causes you to distract yourself from beating the drum of what is. And it puts you in a suspension that allows what is already amassed vibrationally to manifest physically. And if you don't allow that release of resistance, it can't manifest. We get it that you can't look at a situation and really define it differently than it is. There's too much fact, too much evidence, too many others focused upon it and pointing at it in the same way. We get that. But we want you to withdraw your attention from the evidence that is holding you in the evidence. We want you to stop holding yourself in the evidence that is less than you want and allow yourself to flow freely into the vibration, and we promise you the evidence will follow. Everything that you want is in this vortex of creation. Now, we've spoken it vibrationally, which is a little less comfortable for you to hear. Now we're going to break it down and give you the same seminar that we just gave you in physical terms. You can't focus on what you don't want and get what you do want at the same time. It's one or the other. And whatever you're focused upon, you're practicing the vibration of, and it's becoming very vivid in your vibration, and law of attraction is giving you what you think about whether you want it or not. When you think about what you don't want, or even better stated, when you think of less than what you do want, you won't feel as good as you can feel. When you think about what you want, even if it hasn't manifested, you'll feel great. Everything that everyone wants is because you think you will feel better when you get it. And so what we're suggesting is that you feel better even before you get it in terms of manifestation, that you go for the feeling, which is the reason you're asking for it anyway. And when you go for the feeling and accomplish the feeling and maintain the feeling and practice the feeling and get in the vortex and be in the vortex and stay in the vortex and sustain your vibration in the vortex and practice the vibration of the vortex until you are chronically someone who's in the vortex, each and everything that you've ever asked for must come into full manifestation view for you, where everyone you know who is anywhere nearby can see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it. And then they will say to you, hey, how'd you do that? And you will say, I stopped worrying about the absence of it and started feeling the vibrational presence of it, and I tuned myself to the vibration of it, and then it just showed up. That's how it works. If whenever you think about having something wanted, if it makes you aware that you don't have it, then the more specific you are, sometimes the more specifically resistant you are. It's like every subject is two subjects. You pick up a stick that has something wanted on one end, the absence of it is on the other. So you have to decide which end of the stick you are vibrating usually on. So if it's easy for you to imagine the details of the bus, if thinking about it in fact feels so good to you that it takes you right into the vortex, then we would say the more specific you are, the faster it will come. But if thinking about it reminds you that you don't have it, then the specifics of it slow you down. So that's why it's a sort of molding thing. The answer to the question is, be as specific as you can be while still feeling good. So another way of looking at it is, by meditating and quieting your mind, the vortex will take you in. So once you are in the vortex feeling good, now begin pondering this desire. And as you ponder it, if you're able to still remain feeling good, then ponder it with more detail. And if you still feel good, ponder it with more detail. But if you get specific enough that it activates your awareness of lack, then the vortex will spit you out. Then you start the process over again. Get into the vortex in whatever easy way you can. Maybe by focusing on some subject that every time you think about it, you easily get into the vortex. Esther has a handful of those. She cannot think about the treehouse back home in Texas without going right into the vortex. And it's funny because she doesn't think about being in the treehouse. She thinks about the people who were building it and the joy they felt while they were building it. She had far more joy in the building process than in anything that she's done in the treehouse since then. But that treehouse and those men building that treehouse, they were like little boys again. It took longer to build that treehouse than it does most big houses. Because they were having so much fun, they never wanted it to end. And every board is a specially cut board. In other words, they just got in there and they milked it for all the fun they could get out of it. And when Esther thinks about the treehouse, she goes right there. Lovable cat takes her right into the vortex, unless she remembers that it got run over last year, and then right out of the vortex she goes. In other words, as you find a subject that takes you into the vortex, then milk it. That's what we mean by do your affirming from inside. So we teach meditation because, and you may laugh at this, it's easier to teach most of our friends to have no thought at all than to have pure positive thought on their subjects of desire. Because so many subjects of desire are laced with awareness that it hasn't come yet. And yet, what we're teaching is deliberate creation. In other words, what could be better than to be in the vortex, flying high, focusing your thought, and watching things come about? That's what you really intended, you see. So was that clear? Get in the vortex any way you can. Maybe meditation is the way. And once you're in there, think until the vortex throws you out. Then get back in there. And then think until the vortex throws you out. Until you show yourself that you are able to be a specific thinker of specific things wanted. You have to remember that you're not doing your creating from inside the vortex. You're doing your allowing from inside the vortex. You did your creating from outside the vortex. Most of it, I know what I don't want. Almost all of your asking happened from outside the vortex. So you ask and put it in there. Now your work is to allow. And sometimes when you start trying to create, it blows you out again. And here's the law that we want you to understand. The vibration of a question and a vibration of the answer are very different vibrations. The vibration of the problem and the vibration of the solution are very different vibrations. So when the problem has bounced you to the solution, can you see how your work is not to think your way in, but to feel your way in, or to quiet your mind and stop resistance? If you weren't doing that thing you do that keeps you from the vortex, you'd be in there. And that thing you do is thinking thoughts that are resistant to the vortex. So meditation, easy way in. Appreciation, easy way in. Chronic appreciation would hold you in the vortex. Chronic meditation would be a very boring life. Law of attraction is an across-the-board law that responds to all vibration. Source is a vibration. Law of attraction is responding to vibration. So that's why we say as you explore here in the contrast of your physical world and you expand, Source takes that expansion and holds the vibration of that expansion. Then law of attraction responds to that vibration, and that's what fleshes out the vibration and makes it the manifestation that then you call real world. So the difference between law of attraction and source is that source is a vibration that law of attraction responds to. All that has been lived has culminated into this vortex of creation that you are right now calling source. In other words, this source is a pure vibration that holds no resistance. So when law of attraction responds to this pure vibration that holds no resistance, that's why eternity is assured. And that's why well-being is promised, you see. So here's human out here worrying about this, shooting that one, killing that one, robbing from that one, plundering that one, worrying about all kinds of things. But as man has those experiences, he asks for improvement, which source becomes. And so that's why we can unequivocally state to you that this source that you want to call God or source, we're calling it all that is, that expanded vibrational reality is the synthesizing and the best that is erupted out of all that has been lived. Ooh, it's so powerful. That's why we can stand here and assure you that well-being is the order of your universe. And that while, as a human, you can temporarily pinch yourself off from it, that the well-being of all that is and the well-being of your planet is assured. Because when you ask, it is given. And there aren't enough of you, even though it's all of you, there aren't enough of you in physical form to pinch yourself off simultaneously from that which is source to do any real damage to this well-being that is promised that source has become. In other words, that's old news anyway. Over here is where life is, you see. That's why we never worry about your planet becoming deteriorated or it disintegrating or life becoming less, because it defies the laws of the universe. The contrast makes it become more. And even no matter what the state of it is that you all might be examining and calling, look at the way life is, we say, whatever is the state of being that any of you are looking at, it's old news. And that old news has produced new, better news that source is a vibrational equivalent to. That's why you must know your planet is not in peril. So there isn't anything that we know that is important that you don't right now know. Our friend set us up for the perfect closing when he said, what more can you give me? What more can you give me so that I can make this work for me? And we say, you have it all. You have it all. So what you want to do is just start applying it, which means get out there and have some step one moments and feel the discord in those step one moments. But next time you're having a step one moment where the problem is flailing, where what you want is missing, and where the negative emotion is flying high, next time you are in that moment, you'll be able to do something that you've never done before. You'll be able to say, oh, you bugger of a problem. As you come into focus, a solution beyond my wildest dreams is formulating equally. And therefore, I love you. And have you ever heard a better way of making peace with what is than to adore its life-giving, eternal giving functions? It's like embracing all that you are. It's like finally knowing why you're here. It's like appreciating the contrasts that surround you. It's like discovering your true expansion. It's like finally defining the universe in its rightness rather than in its wrongness. It's like giving up all struggle and finally being who you are. We have enjoyed this interaction more than words can describe, and we leave you here blissfully. We want you to understand that we are eternally in the vortex.